The EU wants to kill microtransactions. Oh my god. I have been waiting for times like these. I'm just so sick of like buying $60 games and then the devs tell you, you better get the battle pass 10 bucks a month just to get like all the XP buffs, the extra skins, the extra maps, the extra fun. While at the same time gatekeeping the best characters and skins behind some kind of paywall, and you have to pay even more for that. Bro, I really hope this is gonna be like the first domino stone toppling over the whole industry.
Well, the EU are up to regulatory shenanigans again. The question is, will this be good for us or
Let's
will it be
fucking go.
bad for us? And with that in mind, here's...
How could it be bad? Well, I guess it would destroy the current microtransactions games, maybe. They stopped their live service. Uh-oh, oopsie.
a quote. Let's not kill
Clash of Clans, Candy Crush, Minecraft. What? Why is Minecraft and The Witcher? Is there microtransactions in there? What?
one of Europe's few tech success stories. That was a rather damning statement given by the CEO of Supercell, and its latest shot in a war that has been silently raging since April, because that's when the EU unveiled new guidelines for microtransactions.
Commission and national authorities take action to protect children from harmful practices in video games. Nice. You just have to like say it's for the children and then everybody's instantly on board. Like, but why won't you think of the children? You can't even like argue against it. It's like, I don't care about children. Like, oh, what? Oh my god. Isn't this like the same thing that happened in like England where they tried to ban porn or something? We need to ban porn so the children can't watch it.
Gaming. And now,
How about like you start parenting your child? Jesus.
after a summer of adjustment, the industry is speaking out. Now, obviously, in one way, that's all kind of hilarious, and we do sort of think, yeah, you've rammed our games full of this bullshit, a lot of it has felt fairly manipulative, it's probably good that someone is getting involved. In big picture, that is what I think.
I mean, this is the whole point of microtransactions. They manipulate you with like, what's it called? Dark psychology tricks or something? You know, the flashing lights, the dopamine, the first hour of every free-to-play game is kind of fun. And then they turn up the notch and make it boring, so you have to pay for some kind of XP boost, for some extra character, for like some extra, in quotations, energy, especially in mobile games, so you can actually play more of the game.
That being
Sad.
said, a lot of people in the industry are saying that this will ruin everything that they've built. I mean, just look at what the Supercell dudes
Oh, they're gonna destroy our predatory methods. Oh, cry. Cry me a river. Oh.
said. Basically, according to a lot of them, they say these
Why does you want to end one of the biggest tech success stories? Well, what? What is the logic in there? It's like, I don't want to compare this to slavery or anything, but you can also argue, why did you get rid of slavery? We built the pyramids with it. We built America with slaves. Like, hello? Well, maybe it's successful, but is it right? It's like the freaking term of science. We didn't stop to ask if we should instead of if we could or something like that.
and also wouldn't improve protections. And that certainly is a bit that I'm at least interested in. They also say that this would cause widespread collateral damage to one of EU's biggest tech success stories. So here's the thing. He's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely right. There's definitely stuff for us to...
I mean, this is clearly... he's clearly trying to save his games and, like, you know, his job. So I get that, but at the same time, you can't argue that it's, like, good for the industry.
talk about, and this one's going to be a goddamn trip. And I get this all can be a lot. We've got tariff
Nintendo launched the Switch 2 in a tariff storm. Now comes the difficult
and
part.
trade negotiations affecting everything from Switch 2 pricing to gaming privacy laws, and that means you need a full picture. And that's where Ground News comes in. It's where I go to cut through the
that's
clickbait and to understand what's happening. They're today's video sponsor, and if you go to ground.news/Bellular, you'll get 40% off unlimited access with the Vantage plan. Here's a fun fact to get us going. This was kind of kicked off by a Swedish horse girl game. Yeah, so here we are. Let's get into the story.
Why is it always like Norway or Sweden or something that starts shit?
The autumn legislative sessions are starting, and we're right at the end of the consultation period.
Commission launched open consultation on the forthcoming Digital Fairness Act. European Commission launched a public consultation, okay.
for the Digital Fairness Act. So, would you like some fairness in digital format? Maybe this act is for you. Now, what it is an overarching EU legislative agenda that covers loads of tech fields and where they intersect with consumer protections.
Okay.
Now, for our purposes, it includes features like deceptive interface design where, well, there's all sorts of shady shit that they do. Manipulative elements, addictive elements, and unfair...
Technically, it's legal and stuff. Technically, you don't have to buy that stuff, but it is preying on your psychology. Like, especially like with like sales when it comes to these like fake currencies. They give the first time buyers a super crazy sale, like 80% off or something. Or like here, 800% value on the... like, wow, that's such a good deal, I better get it. And then the psychology hits, like as soon as you buy something once, then you're more prone to buying more things more often.
Personalization practices. You might think, oh, I love things to be personalized. Less so whenever a game is trying to exploit you really wanting that next upgrade and is giving you...
Like, I feel like everybody knows that. Maybe kids don't really know that. Like if a 12-year-old is playing their mobile game and then, you know, they get another buff in Clash of Clans or whatever.
A targeted deal that probably has 900% value or some made-up bullshit like that. Now, it's especially concerned where it hits consumer vulnerabilities and where people can be exploited. Now, you may remember our coverage from back in April, where we got to talk about the Swedish.
Just like the idea of having those premium currencies and those shops, in-game shops, it's completely to detach you from the actual money value of like the whatever thing you want to buy in there. Like you buy like 1,000 gold coins for like $10 or whatever, and then you don't really think about the money anymore. Then it's like, oh yeah, this thing costs 200 gold coins, this costs 350 gold coins. Oh crap, now I only have like 230 gold coins left, but the cheapest thing costs 250, so I better buy another 1,000 gold coins.
Horse girl game. So that's when the EU took on microtransactions, and what happened is that the Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, rolls off the tongue, laid out some new key principles, and this all came as a part of a case made against the Swedish mobile game Star Stables. Now, what we're talking about today, the Digital Fairness Act and its consultation period, it is building on those principles from the whole horse game saga. Now, what that means is new systems requiring real monetary value on listings, not just, you know, made-up gem bullshit. Removing multiple currency options, ensuring refunds are available. Imagine that, a refund on a...
What?
On a gem.
Bro. It's such a foreign concept to be like, you can refund something in the shop? That's possible? What? Whenever you like try to ask some kind of like customer support, it's like, sorry, it's impossible. There's nothing we can do.
Crazy stuff. And also ending a lot of the FOMO practices. And especially because these things were often targeted toward kids.
That's like the whole point of battle passes, by the way, the FOMO. Like they implant the idea in your head that you need to play this month during the battle pass so you can unlock the cool final skin at like day 30 or something like that.
But also they would apply to everyone because games would need to implement them across the board. Now at the time the industry was obviously not really thrilled. They love making money from all of the things that I just listed that feel sketchy. And they framed these as new legal theories, as a disruption that could see games pulled from the EU if those games couldn't comply.
Good. Fuck them. Fuck those predatory microtransaction bullshit games. Bro, I want to go back. I think that's like the main reason why I mostly only play old games at this point. I play indie games and old games. I don't even know what the last AAA game is that I bought. It might have been Monster Hunter Wilds or Elden Ring or something. Not sure which one. I think Monster Hunter Wilds came out after Elden Ring, yeah. It's like the last game I bought. It was like, what, a year ago or something? Bro.
I think about the poor monetization designers, guys. But where things left off is that the CPC was supposed to work with them, work with the industry to help implement everything. But 6 months later, the industry mood has not improved and they are quite worried.
Wow, they're worried they're gonna lose a bunch of money for the predatory microtransaction theories and psychological tricks? Wow, what a surprise. I feel like everybody would be annoyed by that. Imagine like the IRS knocking at your door like, hey, you need to pay 50% of your income today. It's like, what? No, thanks.
That open letter from the Supercell CEO, and by the way, Supercell are the Clash of Clans people, so, you know, some top tier creative gaming content, that's just one of several press efforts that we've seen in recent weeks. But it's the most striking one from a senior figure. Basically, he says that he doesn't want the EU's 27 billion euro industry harmed by the DFA or the guidelines that came in March of this year. And he argues that they will, quote, break how many games fundamentally work, that they will harm the player experience, and especially will do this for free-to-play games.
Fuck them. Fuck them all. I said it, there we go. How come every year every company is basically saying, wow, this was the most profitable year that we ever had, but we can't increase salary, but we can't increase how much we pay in taxes. That's like a whole different thing. It's fine. I was like, hello? How about not doing predatory tactics and paying everybody well enough?
He uses a familiar metaphor for how in-game currency works, but it's one that was okay per the legal framework before the new guidelines in April. And basically he talked about theme park tokens. The idea that a family can buy tokens in bulk, or they can buy tokens individually, or they can even win tokens in a theme park. And
that is also predatory. The whole idea of like those Disney dollars or whatever it's called in Disneyland, it's like, it's the same idea. You spend your money to buy that fake money in order to not be able to get real money back. Now you've got Disney money that's like worth nothing outside of Disney, and there you go. If you have some Disney money left, then you will consider going back, because you might as well spend those 50 Disney dollars, and then since you're there, you're gonna buy another 100.
To him, this is all framed as, quote, convenient and fun, avoiding repeated cash transactions.
How is it more convenient to buy a currency that you then have to use to buy something else? It's an extra step. Just buy the thing you want to buy.
You know, the idea you can buy loads of tokens at once.
Actually, it's even more steps. Just buy the game, and that's it. That's it. Just buy the game and you're done. You can have all the content, you have all the things in it. Why do we need to buy extra things in the thing? That's like extra steps. It's not convenient at all.
And he then contrasts this with the potential worst case under the new guidelines, where individual parental approval for each token used, including signed contract agreements, regardless of purchase value and all of that, would basically harm the experience. Basically, he's saying that regardless of purchase value...
What is the experience really? I feel like experience is code for they're gonna buy less of the stuff. If they have to ask their parent every time, sometimes the parent will say no. That's not fun, right, guys? It's not fun if we get less money. What the heck? That ruins our experience.
Must display a real cost in euros based on a fixed standard, not, you know, a token cost. Now, when children win prizes, they believe that those prizes are worth real money, despite obviously not being able to cash out. In his analogy, the visitors get frustrated and leave. Why? Well, because the experience isn't simpler or safer than what exists now. So, why change the token system? Well, his argument, he believes the existing frameworks can just be strengthened. You know, improve what we've got.
What?
Don't do a big new scary thing. Now, we will come back to how Supercell responds to those existing laws later on in this video. But going on, he suggests these new policies could result in companies choosing other monetization models. Things like more in-game advertising. And this feeling has actually got a lot of backing. Multiple large European game developers sent a letter to the EU. And I have to say, a massive thank you to one of our members, Neo Nebulosa, for helping us navigate the...
Oh my god. I think gaming is forever ruined. If the laws won't take effect. And... bro, this is so dystopian. Having microtransactions, battle passes, and ads after paying AAA $70 for a game. Bro. I mean, I kinda get it for free-to-play games, even though they're like the most predatory in a way. Because they need you to pay money in order to like survive. But like, bro, come on. I think it's done. I think it's done. I'm gonna vote with my wallet and just play I don't know, games from the 90s, like Metal Gear 1 or something. Bro, oh my god, ads in my video game. You know what the first thing is gonna be, and that people gonna code mods immediately to have basically an ad blocker in game.
Fun industrial nuances of the continent, because for real, this shit's complicated. Now, what happened is that Euractiv saw the letter, and then industry-wide bodies like the European Game Developer Federation also got involved. And they're all very worried, and this is based on legal interpretations of current proposals and what they would mean for them, and of course also what they would mean for you.
Wow, big surprise. They don't like the predatory games to be deleted.
Let's go to the heart of the issue. This fundamentally comes down to a fairly simple question, but it's one with significant legal ramifications.
Couldn't you consider this manipulation and stealing? If they deliberately use tactics to make you pay for something, isn't this manipulate? Isn't this almost the same as some young guy going to a freaking retired person and pretending to be their freaking grandchild and being like, hey, grandma, grandpa, I need $1,000 right now or I'll go to prison. And then they're so confused and have Alzheimer's or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, there you go, grandchild, there you go. Isn't this almost the same? They're lying and manipulating the player base to pay. And sure, the argument could be made that you don't have to pay technically, but you have a significantly less positive experience if you don't pay for the services in the microtransactions in games. Bro, can't we just go back to paying for the game and then having fun playing the game?
And it's this. Is in-game currency the same as real currency? Because if it's treated as such, as, quote, digital representations of value, then the companies trading in them face significantly more scrutiny. And if you're thinking about, say, I don't know, banking, crypto, and other things, yeah, you're kind of thinking along the right lines. Because effectively, they would then be a little bit more like Bitcoin under the law. And to be clear, that is the position of the CPC.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Ooh, especially when you think about those free-to-play games where you can trade currency as well. Kind of like the WoW token, I guess. You could farm WoW tokens and then exchange those for real life money, in theory. Same with other currencies, right? If that would be the law. But I feel like they would just delete that then. Those services, those fake currencies, because they don't want to be a bank basically. Because then they have to pay out all the currency they've collected.
And therefore it's inherent to the current consultation for the Digital Fairness Act, which is the big thing that would really change a lot. Now, the fundamental argument is that people are putting real money into these systems, and they are getting in return for their real money a digital representation of that money in the form of products, like, say, your gems or your Call of Duty points, whatever it may be. So because of that, they should therefore have transparency and safety when they are spending. Now, those are good, noble goals, but implementation could be a little tricky, and it would mean some humongous changes. Now, we can't just dismiss those things because we like the principles behind the changes, and for the avoidance of doubt, we here are very much behind those principles. And what the industry is putting forward really are based on worst case scenarios. But that doesn't mean that...
Oh, okay. I was kind of hopeful at the beginning of the video, they cannot get rid of microtransactions, great. Now it sounds more like an annoyance to those companies. Ah, sad. I really feel like it needs to be outlawed or something. It is predatory, it's stealing and manipulation.
They won't happen, and we should talk about it
Allegedly.
Because it will impact the industry. Now, they already don't trust the EU elements implementing all of this, as flagged by George Osborne, well, that one, in his excellent video games industry memo newsletter back in April. His sources suggested to him something rather troubling, that before the new guidelines, the CPC did not engage with industry trade bodies, let alone get impact assessments. I know, impact assessments, it's real sexy stuff, but then again, we are dealing with, billions of euro and how the industry literally works. Now,
why am I scared that politicians just see the number and be like, no, that is a lot of taxes. We can't get rid of a lot of taxes. That'd be bad. Who's gonna pay me then? That's bad.
Now, that's part of why these bodies are emphasizing certain facts. Things like, only 18% of kids are allowed to make purchases, that 95% get parental supervision, and that monthly spending has actually gone down year on year, which is at least a silver lining if you're not a fan of microtransactions. But basically, the industry is putting forward that they see all of this stuff as using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and basically that's why they've been so frustrated. Now, the CPC suggested that they would work with the industry after they did their big publication. And without direct leaks, we don't literally know what those discussions looked like over the summer, but based on current reactions, they did not go well. But more than that, apparently, the CPC also didn't work with other EU bodies. Yes, this is really getting all quite complex. People may wonder why, I don't know, nothing ever gets done. Anyway.
Oh my god, that is like normal EU bullshit, to be honest. Just getting lost in like a bajillion bureaucratic nonsense. Especially when you consider like AI or whatever, right? Some things with the AI are progressing so fast, the laws can't like be made up fast enough.
Effectively means the point the industry is trying to get across, right, is that this one group tried to set a new central philosophy in microtransactions, but they kind of did that without getting everyone else involved in the situation involved in what that would look like, which can get messy. And for an example of said mess, we've got to say a big thanks to this pack of Lithuanian RuneScape gold farmers. To put a very messy situation in very simple terms, in Lithuania, currency transfers are tax exempt. So because of this, the gold farmers thought that they would not have to pay value-added tax. But the Revenue Office disagreed. The Revenue Office believed that the gold farmers weren't trading a currency whenever they were doing their trades. So yeah, they were like trading a product, and that would mean that they would need to get their value-added tax. Now, they needed clarity on the law here. So what they did is they went to the EU, and they went to a specific bit called the EU Advocate General.
Oh my god, it sounds so complicated. Why? I feel like it shouldn't be that freaking complicated. Maybe I'm just too radical. Just delete all microtransactions. Done. Easy.
And the result of that was a ruling by the EU Advocate General.
And if somebody's like trying to argue, yeah, but what about cosmetics and whatnot? Just put the cosmetics in the game as like playable reward or something. That's how it used to be. You want a raid, you want a mission, and then you got a cool armor set for it. Instead of like buying it. Just buy a $60 game. That's what AAA used to be. Now it's like part of microtransaction culture for some reason.
And that is that in-game currency should be considered as a digital second-hand product, not as a currency in itself. Now, that's actually quite fun for today's story, because that's actually not how the guidelines from the CPC frame them. Same goes for the Digital Fairness Act proposals as well. And that just makes everything here...
Oh my god, this is like normal, typical government bullshit. It's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand does. Bunch of idiots trying to figure something out, and then everybody else like, I don't think so. We need to look at this again. And then a year passes, and then like a third freaking branch chimes in. Is like, wait a minute, what about this? And then they have to like rethink everything for a year again.
So much messier, because different bits of the EU, different arms of it, are taking different opinions. Obviously, that makes it very hard to get anything goddamn done. And that's part of why the company seems so pissed off here. To them, the CPC wants compliance with their guidelines, even as another EU judiciary is suggesting another interpretation. So they're, in a way, saying, oh no, look at us, we're caught in the middle, this is a nightmare, what do we do? And honestly, in that case, yeah, they do have a point. It's like different arms of the same body are saying different things about basically the same issue. That's obviously chaos. Chaos that could get worse with the Digital Fairness Act being implemented.
Oh no, why do I suddenly get a bad feeling that like they're just gonna make it worse or something? Oh no. Oh no, please do a good thing.
Next year. And that would mean that, well, everything that they work on, these companies that is, may now need to be changed again to comply with the new requirements, which would be a good thing going solely off the principles, what we're trying to protect and make better here. Okay. But, you know, implementation is often the hard bit, and that is why the companies are very much worried. Oh boy, we're getting there.
I mean, I guess I get that part. It's like a bunch of work, and in many cases, I suppose it would like destroy the company because now it's harder to steal the players' base money because now the players would maybe understand a little bit better what they're like buying or, you know, purchasing.
And one thing you may have noticed in this video is it might all sound a little bit schizo. I mean, here I am in 1 second being very much, look at the things the Swedish Horse Girl game was doing. That's all pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
Let's regulate some of this stuff so that, you know, we don't have exploitative bullshit happening that's, you know, aimed at teens and stuff. And then you'll also see me, well, talking about the industry's points. And to understand this story, I think we've just got to accept a very basic fact. Everyone involved is going to present their argument in the best light that they can.
True.
CPC will. The people at Supercell will. I will. You will. We'll pretty much always be trying to put our...
My position is pretty simple. Just get rid of all microtransactions. Done. You know, I'll make an exception for expansions or like, you know, big game chunks released after a full completed game has been come out. I'm not even like a fan of like the whole early access or like pre-order stuff. It's like a bunch of money that you spend for like no content basically. I mean, sure, the DLCs are the content or whatever in some cases. Does it need to be a DLC? Just put it in the game.
Argument forward in the best way. And the upshot of that is everyone involved from their perspective will play up the risk and then downplay anything that will undermine them. And even if we return to the Supercell dude's letter, you can start to pick holes in some of the logic that he puts forward. If you're going to update his analogy to actually be accurate to the real industry, well, then his theme parks would be having 3 or 4 or 5 different types of tokens. Just look at, you know, what you see when you open a gacha game and you're just bombarded. And to undermine his points even more, he tries to talk about how...
I mean, obviously he's gonna, you know, make it sound fun to pay for microtransactions. That's like his job. He needs to like preserve that in order to get money.
You can win one of the tokens as a prize. Yeah, but in so many of these games, the only thing you can win as a prize is like, just for participating in something, is the lowest value of token. But then you can only buy some tokens in massive bundles. Bundles that don't match the price of the product you're trying to buy.
True.
None of which is a good consumer experience. As much as this just web of absolute goddamn insanity does make these companies a hell of a lot of money. And when he talks about wanting to make existing legislation stronger, well, yeah, Supercell would know all that they need to know about that, because they've been accused of being non-compliant with UK loot box regulations.
What?
You know, clearly self-regulation and current legislation are not working for everyone.
If you... Oh, that's an interesting question, actually. If you are one of these companies, could you use some kind of reverse VPN? Where you, like, funnel all the interactions from players to a specific server in a specific country where the laws don't apply, and then funnel those IPs to you. So it looks like it all comes from that specific server or company. Could you reverse VPN in order to avoid specific laws in countries? Interesting. I mean, people kind of use that stuff with like Netflix or like, you know, Amazon Prime to like watch specific country-based shows, right? Huh. I wonder if that's... I need some lawyer to tell me the specifics on that.
That's why we need these changes in the first place. But it is also true that he does have a bit of a point. These bodies should probably have a talk with the industry reps to implement changes in a way that won't have unintended negative impacts. And we have seen many examples of that. As an example, GDPR, you having more control over your data, all that privacy stuff, that's pretty great. But it's really annoying having that pop up.
True. Also, in the end of it, it didn't even really change anything. Now you have to agree on your data being saved, because the alternative is like to not be able to use the service or website. So I almost feel like it served no purpose at all, except now you agreed for your data to be collected.
Every time you go to a website and you got to install an extension to deal with the annoying thing, yeah, that does kind of suck. I mean, I get the point, I agree with the principle, but the implementation clearly isn't really that great. And where it risks getting worse,
it's like it almost worked the opposite way, because now you agree for your data to be used in whatever way they seem fit.
Is that today we've been talking about the concerns from big trade bodies and companies like Supercell. And here's the thing with those groups, they've got money. They can afford to be compliant with new laws, like say all the...
Yeah, but like, that's not how a company thinks. A company thinks we need more money. They never think, well, now that we have less cost, we can reduce the price. No. They reduce the cost as much as possible while increasing the price to increase the earnings as much as possible. We see this like all the time, especially like in like groceries or whatever, at like the supermarket. Prices go up all the time. And then maybe some law is being passed. Maybe they fired like thousands, tens of thousands of employees and like put like AI in or something like self cash out or whatever, right? Did it reduce the price? Nope. It reduced the cost, increasing the earnings of the company. It never reduces the price. It's like really rare if some company reduces the actual price of their products. Because why would you? People keep buying them at the current price, so why would you reduce the price?
Online Safety Act and similar laws around the world. The incumbents can fork up the cash to be compliant. They can do that. Hell, if the compliance is a real nightmare, then maybe you can be an entrepreneur and sell the solution. But the smaller teams, the people who are just on the cusp of being sustainable fiscally, well, they'll be hurt more. The worst case scenario is something that looks more like regulatory capture, that perhaps looks like the incumbents adapting to the regulation, but then the regulation being so onerous that new companies basically can't really get started up. That can be really bad. But to cut through all that fluff, something needs to happen.
Is that good or bad? I mean, I feel like it doesn't matter. Just delete all the microtransactions. We see this all the time currently as well with like people keep saying, oh, games are shit or whatever. Like there's no good games anymore. But then some kind of indie company pops up and like gets all the rewards, all the awards, and like all the money and all the players and all the freaking popularity. So I guess I wouldn't care if a small company is dying because of microtransactions. Shouldn't have used microtransactions. Shouldn't have stolen from the game player base. You shouldn't have used weird psychological tactics to increase your earnings. Easy. It's like, what are we arguing about?
And the reason why is simple. A reckoning is coming, and we are very much on the clock. Here's the deal. The Digital Fairness Act is expected to be delivered in the next year or so. And what's happening right now is the ending of the consultation period for the virtual currency stuff. And clearly, after 12 weeks of consultation, well, these companies have been reacting in this way to make a point that they don't want the Digital Fairness Act legislators to treat them the way that the CPC allegedly treated them with all of that Swedish horse girl stuff. They basically want a chance to make sure that their voices are heard. And you know what? That is their right. They are literally entities contributing to the economy within the EU. So yeah, they should have a seat at that table. I want them to be listened to and respected, but also treated with the skepticism that is due, because they are very much not unbiased here. And
I mean, that's not even the point. I feel like just I guess there are exceptions, like some games probably have like a good or fair method of like using microtransactions, but I feel like in most of the time microtransactions are just being used to manipulate the player base to spend more money. That's the whole point of like battle passes and I don't know, XP boosts. That makes the base game more tedious. How often did you play as some kind of like free-to-play game or whatever, and the first hour was like fun and amazing, right? It was like a good time. And then, somehow, you've reached some kind of border where everything takes forever. You need to grind several hours just to like get some kind of, I don't know, item, reward or whatever, right? Comparatively, if you look in the in-game shop, you could just skip those 5 hours, 10 hours of grinding, repetitive nonsense farming, by just spending like $5 or I don't know, $10 to get maybe an XP boost or just keep flat out the item that you wanted. How is that good game design? It feels more like it is deliberately designed in a way where you have to spend money in order to have a somewhat decent experience with the game itself. Somewhat good pacing, somewhat good gameplay. It's all in a way almost hinges on you paying for battle passes or like some other microtransactions.
Just as these companies need to turn a profit, they also need to do so in a way that is not predatory toward the public. And ultimately, it's that last bit that's where I land. You can see enough horror stories of this stuff going bad, or even just the simple, basic goddamn thing. You look at your phone, there's a social media app that's just trying to play around with your brain chemistry to get you hooked. You open a video game, and now it's doing the same thing. There's all this predatory bullshit everywhere. I don't know about you, but I've had...
Dude, imagine if they just add... Actually, now that I think about it, there are ads in video games already. Especially mobile games. It's like, hey, you can spend 100 Super Omega Crystals, or you can watch this 3-minute ad. Oh my god, it's happening already. Bro, just make a game. Isn't the point of games that it's like interactive art and story and like gameplay?
Not enough. And the profit of these businesses is, yes, relevant to them, the shareholders. But it's also not goddamn sacred. And the whole point of governments and bodies like these is that we can be represented, and in some way, we have some buy-in to the rules of the game that everyone should be able to play fairly, which is a bit of a...
The problem is, though, if it's representing the population in quotations, then we might be a little bit screwed. How often did you experience that the majority of people have a dumb take without even having researched any of it? And we can see this in like the, what's it called? In like the earnings of the industry itself. I think mobile games and microtransactions actually have a bigger payout or like earnings factor for the companies than just the flat out buy to play games. So if we go by numbers, we might be screwed in that regard. Maybe microtransactions will never leave anymore because there's just too much money in it.
Stupidly optimistic, lofty ass goal. But in this case, you know what? If they make less money because they're not allowed to be as manipulative and people lose their jobs because of that,
was good.
That's okay.
Yeah, bro. This is almost like arguing, yeah, those like Indian call centers where they like scam people all the time. We can't get rid of them. They're paying taxes. They're paying their Indian tax. We can't really get rid of them. Hello? How about stopping predatory shit? I feel like that's a no-brainer to some extent.
Maximizing employment's not the only fucking goal. There's other stuff going on. There are negative externalities. That's another thing to consider. Yes, you could just deregulate gambling to the tits and then tax it and say, look.
If you want to gamble, go to a fucking casino. What the fuck? At least there, you know what the fuck is happening.
Look at our number go up.
And I suppose, to some extent, there's even a chance that you go out with some kind of winnings.
But then you can also think about the negative externalities on society that are a result of sad gambling bollocks. And don't worry, you guys in the US are heading in the direction that the United Kingdom has been in for a long-ass time regarding the old online sports betting. Anyway, I think you guys see the point. Yes, these guys should be listened to, etc., etc. But you know what? We should have some say in the goddamn rules. And people have had enough. I know this wasn't the most light and breezy video in the world, so palate cleanse yourself.
Thanks for this so very light-hearted video. I feel like I'm gonna stick to my guts and say all microtransactions are bad because they just take away more money. Exceptions are like expansions. If you get like 30, 40, 50% of extra game in at least the same quality, if not better, from the game that you liked to buy and play, that's good, that's fair, I feel like. But like buying a DLC for like an extra character for $10, bro, just give me the fucking character. Or I guess make all the DLCs into like an expansion. That's just like maybe potentially fair if it has like enough content to warrant being an expansion. I mean, just look at Cyberpunk. It was like a it was kind of somewhat of a shit show at release, but you know, they tried to make it better now. and they released an expansion. No crazy bullshit with microtransactions, no crazy DLCs, no extra skins or whatever. Just a flat out game and everybody likes it now. Same thing with like No Man's Sky. Although I guess, to be fair, No Man's Sky just releases a bunch of expansions for free, which is crazy. I just dislike the notion that we have to accept those predatory microtransactions bullshit. They're like preying on your psyche, on your dopamine and everything else. Just to like, I don't know, lure a couple extra bucks out of your pockets. I'd say just get rid of all of it. Go back to like the 90s or something where you buy a game and that's it. You have the game, it's a good game, it plays well. Maybe it has a bug or two, but that's way different to every freaking alpha version game that's being released nowadays. But there's like 5 hours video essays of like, here's like $1,000 we found. It's like, okay. Can we go back to actually good games, please?